If I do, I'm sorry.
It is all gravy in the Navy.
Okay, cool. I'm ready.
Are we live? Are we live? It says live.
I think we're live.
I think we're live. Everybody's on Palm Street, so nobody's in here.
That's fine. You and I can just talk to each other.
It's recorded. It's recorded, so people can rewatch it. Uh-oh. Oh, sorry. That was me. I gotta mute my browser.
What's
up, everybody?
Tim? Welcome, Raphael.
Rafael. Dos Anjos. Okay. What's up, guys? We're just people are trickling in. Might be a little bit of more of a quiet evening, which is okay.
That's good. It's all good.
We existed before Palm Street, so we're here. We just close the blinds here.
Harry and I have no problem talking to each other anytime. So
we should just do our episode next week, AJ, and even if it's live, I don't know.
We should just
probably nobody will be on during the day.
We should just turn it on and just talk for 2 hours and just see what comes out. Just completely no script at all, no talking points at all.
Just straight off the dome. Okay.
Palm Street stole us? No.
Palm Street stole you guys. No, we're still around.
We're here.
We've been a little bit busier for sure, but we're still here. We should do more chats on Palm, you and I.
Yeah, for sure. Our daytime feed or clean and talk.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Let me see. How many do we have today right now? We have 13. Everyone's on Scotty's.
That's good.
Yeah, Scott. I know Scott's on Palm. Go support him. Go buy some of his animals. You can watch this later too. That's okay. Or you could watch simultaneously. That works too. Okay.
Yeah, that's the one bad thing about Palm is you can't rewatch it. That's the only thing.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, let me see. I'm just typing in a few more.
Do I have any turtles, Wrathgate? Is that what you're asking? I don't know. I still.
Oh, Wrathgate's on.
I want to have turtles, but I'm not cool enough for turtles, so I'll work on it.
Turtles.
Got any turtles?
Let's see. I'm just typing in a few more questions from the audience.
Yeah, we got some questions submitted via Instagram. If you guys have any questions you want to throw in the chat too, feel free to throw them in there and we'll load them up. Preston, what's up?
Roading.
Hunter HKD. Oh, that's awesome. It's Hunter.
Oh, what's up, Hunter?
What's up?
The new Wagyu.
Vicente's here. Clutchified.
Oh, Vicente. The one Don posted. Yeah, we'll talk about.
I got a gecko from Vicente this week, and he's getting a gecko from me.
Oh, tradesies.
A little back and forth.
Okay, I got this one down. Okay, let me check. Let me just check the Gecko Pod. You guys have any questions? Yeah, like AJ said, throw them into the chats. We have a few topics we'll talk about. Yeah, there are a few. Yeah, I think there's a handful of things we could talk about. Last time we were on live, AJ, we talked about the Pangea diet, and we talked about that for quite a while.
Oh yeah, we had quite a long live because we had a little bit of stuff going on in the hobby people wanted to talk about.
And then we have, then we talked about Palm Street, and yeah, we can touch on Palm Street again. I mean, it's pretty relevant for everybody, just because even now, Palm Street's affecting kind of the flow of things. Like now that there's a live pretty much every single weeknight, right? There's always a reptile show, somebody's selling, and so yeah, I think it's definitely impacted the hobby significantly, I would say.
Yeah, shaking things up for sure.
Shake and bake.
Shake and bake. Preston's got a question there, Harry. You see it?
Okay, let me throw that up while I'm also.
I don't know if you want to start on that one.
Oh, okay. No, I just got to the comments. Okay, Tim's in. What's up? Oh, Raphael. Yo. Okay, yeah, you already said hi to everyone. Alicia's in. Greg's in. 3G. Kathy's in. Alex is in. Adam Conrad. Dude, Adam's been posting those super dials from you, AJ. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, shoot, man. There's that
Nice
one he
one.
posted yesterday. I was like, that one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That one was a really nice one. I was like, oh my gosh, that's like one of your better ones, huh?
Yeah, it's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Harry, you want to go live from the Gecko Pod Instagram real quick?
Yeah, we can. I'm kind of typing off of it. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. Let me.
Pino just said he didn't get notified about the live, so.
Okay. Yeah, let me jump in. Hold on. Oh, David Rogue. Okay, I'll do that in a second. Let me just see who's in. Oh, Carebugs. What's up, Carebugs? I don't think I've ever seen Carebugs before.
Carebugs. Hello. Jarrell. Rels. Rels Exotic.
Oh, is that Rels? Oh,
yeah.
What's up, Rels?
Rels.
Jarrell sounds like a Superman's name. What's Superman's name?
Clark Kent?
No, his Kryptonian name.
I don't know.
All right, and we go live on Potty Hottie.
I'm gonna try not to be yawning, but I'm tired.
Okay,
I'm sleepy. It takes me like 4 days to recover from being up till 2 a.m. So
geez, you had long live.
Yeah, I gotta stay up really late to hang out with you because you can't get on until it's already 1 a.m.
Yeah, that's right. I was like, oh, I need 45 minutes. Gotta put the kids down, then I could come talk with you.
Yeah. It just means that I'm tired. It just means I'm tired for the next 3 days. That's what it ends up meaning.
It's a heavy work day for you. Oh my gosh, why do I not know how to go live on this? As you can see, I don't go live on IG.
You just go to like the plus, and then you go over to live. Okay. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
And then you just say, "Hey, come over to YouTube."
People usually don't jump on here though, which is fine.
Hello, Drew's in the house. Drewby.
Drew Poo.
Droop.
I have a friend whose screen name is Drew Poo.
Nice.
Anybody? I'm on live on the pod. See if anyone goes in there. Everyone's busy with Palmy. You guys got any tips on Gecko? Okay, I got to Preston's question.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We're telling your followers that you've started a live video. Okay. What's up, guys? A couple of people joined into the Gecko Pod live. If you guys are seeing this, we are live on YouTube. We know a lot of things are going on right now, but feel free to jump into live pod with me and AJ. We'll be chatting, taking some Q&A, talking about the hobby, talking about various things going on. Any drama? There's always drama. What's your guys' favorite crested more? Oh yeah, well, I'm gonna queue these questions up. That is crazy. So let me just star these. Carebugs is the future. Hey, Drew. Drew's on. Cal-L. Oh, Jarrell. Yeah, I was close. Cal-L. What's up, James? Good to have you on here. Richard's on. What's up, Richard?
Alyssa's
on.
Nice.
There's only one person on the Gecko Pod live.
On Instagram?
Yeah. Anytime I go on the Gecko Pod live. Oh, now it's nobody.
Nice.
Maybe because we don't use it, so we don't use the Gecko Pod live, huh?
I don't know.
Yeah, we never use it.
It's good. It still filters people.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you guys for being with us. As people trickle in, we'll say hi to them and whatnot. But this is episode 80 of the Gecko Pod live pod with me and AJ, Zero's Geckos and AJD Reptiles.
Good to be here.
Podcast for 2.5 years now, 2.25 years.
Yeah, at this point, it's I'm losing track.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're at episode 80, and we don't go every week, so we stretch it out a little bit. So
Yeah.
it's been a minute, so it's good to see old breeders, newish old breeders, and then some of like very new breeders come into the hobby.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's been cool. It's been good seeing everybody and people saying they watched the Gecko Pod, and yeah. So thank you guys for joining us. What do we usually say? We're a podcast. I haven't said podcast for the Gecko community, where we talk about the breeding,
Gecko hobby and business.
where we talk about the hobby and business of breeding geckos.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So since the last episode, I wasn't on the last one, right? Because the last one was with Krusty Works.
Yeah, Krusty Works, just with Kristen and myself.
Yeah, because you guys shot that the day I was packing to go to Tinley.
Yeah.
So I went to Tinley. A little bit of a recap of that. It was a good weekend. A lot of people at the show. I would say there wasn't nearly as many like gecko breeders that traveled to the show for like networking like there normally is in the past. So it felt a little bit less community full, and was more about kind of like the people that were vending and then the people through the doors, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
A little less like VIP and people traveling to the show. But I thought that the vibes were really good with like the people coming up. I had a bunch of people come up to the booth, and folks that I'd never met before say they watched the Gecko Pod, which was awesome, which is cool. Yeah, there was some people that traveled. Just
was Alicia there?
Yeah.
Oh, you saw her in Anaheim and at Tinley, huh?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So the people that came by the booth were like super cool, and it was good to meet some people that I had never met before. Yeah. People that I met from Palm Street too since then. Folks that maybe that was their first Tinley, and they say, man, I really want to go to the Flora Fauna show too, and all these different things. So it was cool. Every time we do a big show, whether we do a show out in California or we do Tinley or whatever, I feel like there's always like 5 or 6 people that come up that I've never met before but have listened to the podcast or any of that stuff. So it's always really cool to meet those people and get to chat. And
yeah. Was it
have that time?
Was your Tinley, I mean, was it pretty par for the course in terms of what you've done in the past? And because you've been to pretty much every single Tinley for like a decade or more, right?
More. I don't think I missed. I was looking at my badges because I don't have all my badges, but I have like a good amount of badges that I like my VIP lanyard.
Yeah.
Or my vendor lanyard. I think I've maybe missed like 3 since like 2008.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Crazy, 2008, man. 2009, I've maybe missed like 2 or 3.
Okay. That's crazy.
So there's been a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian says he's coming in to say hi. Couldn't make it tonight. Well, thanks for saying hi.
Who's that? Brian Whoosy?
Brian Who. We miss you.
Hold on. Let me pull you up. Sorry, I was typing in questions. Brian. Okay,
Brian's got to work tonight.
B Whoosy's working. We missed you, Brian. No worries. Catch you on the next one. What's up, AJ?
Another AJ.
Love y'all too, man. Love y'all too. James Hill.
James, what up?
Yeah. So the show.
Oh, retirement party.
Was it a retirement party?
Like, did it meet expectations? Is what you asked.
Well, was it just as busy in terms of the foot traffic?
It was weird because I described it as like, yes. So if you went out to the parking lot, you could not get a parking spot, right?
Okay.
No parking spot, massive line. It was pretty congested in there. But like I said, I feel like there was equal number of people walking the show, but the number of people that are known customers, like people that I know that are like gecko breeders or gecko lovers or gecko buyers, I feel like that number was lower, but there was a lot of people at the show.
Yeah. Okay.
So when people walk by the booth and you kind of get you wave and you say hi, and you might try to engage in some light way, and they just kind of like keep walking, and there's like they don't even like look at the table. I feel like there was more of that and less like serious people there like looking at the tables.
Got it. Okay.
So I think it was more of like a local crowd, but there was a lot of people there for sure.
You had the foot traffic, but it wasn't people that was really into like cresteds. People just kind of browsing.
Yeah, I mean, and I didn't see a ton of animals walking around. I know that like the general feel was that the sales were not great at the show.
Okay.
I did what I set out to do, which is awesome. But I definitely think that I don't know if it was just kind of coming off of like the summer. The summer is always kind of slow, and then this is just kind of like a slow, semi-slow part of the year, just with I think like election cycle, the summer, kind of the state of like inflation and kind of what's going on in the world. So it seemed like it was. It seemed like the general consensus was that it was a slower show for most.
Okay.
Was what I heard. I was kind of hearing that, and you could kind of feel that in the air for sure.
Sales wise was a little slower than usual.
Yeah, just like when you go, like as crazy as kind of an analogy or a observation as it is. If you've been to Tinley before and you go to the hotel lobby on a Saturday night, it's like you can't even move. It's packed. You can't hear yourself. It's just absolutely
crazy loud,
jam packed. There's a million groups of people talking. I was down there at Saturday at 11, and it was like
it's empty.
Three quarters of the couches are open. There wasn't like no problem here. So it just didn't feel as like people were not like having a great time and drinking and socializing. It felt like a little bit more doom and gloom, which is not the only time it's ever felt like that. But it definitely felt like it was one of those shows where people were like not as like hyped,
excited. Yeah, definitely. I mean, so everyone's feeling it. Well, I mean, there's no hiding that it's a bit of a slower market in general, right?
Yeah.
And so that translated to an actual show, which is Tinley, which is kind of the go-to show for reptiles, for cresteds. People fly in typically, and even this year, at least the fall one, it was much slower. How did it compare to the spring one in March?
I feel like there was more positivity and traction at the March one for sure.
Okay.
Which is weird because October is the big one.
Yeah, normally.
But I just think so many things have, like I said, at least those three things, election cycle, economic kind of situation, and then it's always coming off the summer is always a little slow just because summer is always slow in the pet industry.
Yeah.
So summer is always the slowest point of the year in pet industry. So
yeah.
As we started talking about this, I'm like, should we talk about this? But I think the reality is like, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right?
Yeah.
There is like hard times. There's hard times and there is easier times. And for sure. But I mean, like I said to you, like I had expressed to you kind of what my goals were going into it. And then you asked me after, like, do you do that? I'm like, yep. I hit what I wanted to do. So I was happy with it. I felt good about it, but I had a plan. I had a plan on how I was going to do that too. So
right. So I do think, like as people who, like we have a podcast, it's not like we're not like super famous or anything, but it is a voice within the gecko community that in general, a bunch of crested people know about. And so I think sometimes there's that responsibility of not like oversharing like too much, like, oh, market is terrible. And we talk about that behind the scenes. Right. But I think there's always hope. It's not complete doom and gloom, but I do think that it's good sometimes for us to at least address the fact that, there is, like you said, it's not always sunshine and rainbows. But how do we kind of come together and rally together and still encourage each other in the hobby? How can we adjust, like, our pairings or whatever it is, adjust kind of our marketing? And a lot of times, and what we are seeing is that a lot of people are just, exiting the hobby, right? We don't have to,
it's really interesting because right now we have this dichotomy of a lot of people leaving the hobby, but then a lot of people joining the hobby.
Yes.
You know, with like the rise of Palm Street and with more online sales, with, you know, morph market auctions, you know, like I said, Palm, all these different avenues. You're seeing, I think you're seeing some folks that maybe got into the hobby thinking it was going to be so it was going to be crypto or NFTs, or it's going to be like they're going to print money since COVID. You know, they saw the pricing of COVID pricing. They're like, I'm just going to like do this and print money. And I think they realized after 2 to 3 years, oh, that's not the case, you know?
Yeah.
And then you're seeing a lot of exits,
yes.
You know?
Yes.
But anybody that has done this for some number of years will tell you it takes a while to get established, for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
I think 3 is the minimum. I mean,
I'm 3 seasons in and I don't feel completely established. So I look back at some of these newer breeders, or just breeders that I've come into, you know, my wave of, every season there's a wave of people, right? Even people within my wave 3 seasons ago, like, you know, we're still grinding. Like it's not all bells and whistles. It's not easy money. It's definitely a grind. And, you know, a lot of people left. A lot of people that, you know, came into the wave during the time I came in, I don't hear from them anymore. I don't know where they are. You know, I think it's about expectations. If you understand that it's not going to be easy money for 3, 4, maybe even 5 years, then you'll be okay. You'll adjust your expectations. You won't be so disappointed when, you know, you have a really bad season. Like this season was slower, you know, then it helps you to be like, okay, I expected that and I'm okay. You know, I have another job. I'm not banking on this to like pay, you know, put food on the table, you know, things like that. So I think it's all about expectations. And so the more we understand and realize it's not a quick money flip like COVID times. If you got in during COVID times, right before COVID times, you made a lot of money, right? And that's what people were expecting, and it's not that. So
yeah, I think like you're saying, it's about expectations. So if your expectation is like you want to do this, then just kind of like buckle up and do the work and learn and grow your collection and refine your animals and figure out how to dial in your care regimen and all that. You got a lot of, you know, you've got some time to do it, for sure.
Yeah.
And I guess I had the blessing of when I started doing this, nobody really cared about geckos. Like there was this, you know, we were on the Pangea forums back in the day.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people were active users on it. It felt like a couple hundred of us total. You know, there was like not a ton of people, and some of those people had 2, 4, 5 geckos, you know, and then the crazy ones of us had like 100, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, you have 100 geckos? It's crazy. So I think just like back then, luckily I had, you know, I didn't have anything to compare to. It's just, I breed geckos, and each year I pick holdbacks, and then I sell some, and then I breed those, and then, you know, and then you just kind of do this over and over and over, you know?
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know. I think sometimes the comparison is your enemy, right? Like saying, oh, look at so-and-so, they're doing better than me. And it's like, well, they've done this for 20 years. You've been here for 2 years.
That's exactly, you know? Right. So I mean, a really good example is this, like the difference between you and IJ, it's crazy. Like, you know, like you've developed your stuff. You have so many more animals, you know, the ins and outs, like down pat, and you're making a good living, you know, off of, you know, your full-time business. For me, I'm trending towards full-time, and yet I see you and I'm like, but I'm not jealous, because I know that's been your work for like the last over a decade. You've been grinding. For me, I've just been 3 seasons in. I know it's a grind. And so it's so hard not to compare, though. You know,
yeah,
like,
for sure.
You killed it on this Palm, or you killed it on this preview thing, or you killed it this year with these shows, and then I'm making a fraction of what you're making. But it's to be expected, right? Because of just the level of development in our collections and kind of the experience, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I did. Granted, animals were cheaper back then, but I probably did 10 years of where you're at right now or less.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have more animals right now than I had 3 years ago.
Oh, really? No.
Yes.
Well, maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
No. Like I probably moved, as crazy as this sounds, now looking back on this number sounds crazy. I think I moved to North Carolina with like 60 females. Or
Really? Really?
Yeah.
How come I didn't know this?
You never asked.
Oh, what the heck?
So
I thought you always had 1 million animals.
No. I had my entire collection in like one 10 by 12 bedroom. Like probably like what
That's
you're
crazy.
or less than you. And I think I think when I moved to North Carolina, I had like 300 shoe boxes total.
Wow. Okay.
200, 300 shoe boxes.
Okay.
So like to just give you an idea of like that was whatever 3 years ago.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah.
So a lot of my growth, granted, I had set up. I had a ton of holdback animals that I had held back or bought or, whatever, had acquired in some way, shape, or form, trades. So when I came to North Carolina, I kind of planned, and I don't know if we talked about this maybe in past episodes. I have no recollection of whatever we've always said. But I had a business plan around 2017, and forgive me if I've said this story before.
That's fine.
I don't remember.
A lot of new people.
But in 2017-ish, 2016, 2017, I had a conversation with a friend. I was up in British Columbia, Canada, and I was up there, and I was talking to a friend, and we were out kind of camping in the middle of nowhere. And I was just saying how, like, man, I want to do this thing. I want to be able to breed these animals full time. And this is when like almost no one did it full time. Like, I don't think almost anyone, I don't even think like Butler did it full time or any, I don't think Tiki's did it full time at that point. Like, I don't think any of those people did it full time at that point.
This was 2017,
2016, maybe. Okay. And the number of people, I obviously like AC or, Pangea or some of those people were, but I had this thought like I want to do this, and then he asked me, and I need this because like I'm more of I can come up with the idea. Sometimes I need to be stepped back on like what is the first step, Yeah. And so he's like, well, what's the first step? And I'm like, okay, well, I had this vision of like I need these kind of 4 pillars of the business to be built, animals, marketing, different things, all these different things kind of like panned out. It's like, okay, so what's the first step for each of those things?
Yeah.
And so then how do you reach the goal that you need to be? And then, based on that conversation, I kind of came to the timeline. I'm like, this is going to take me 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
And then I just made that plan. I literally made that plan. And then I just did it for 4 years while I worked my job.
Yeah.
And then by the time I moved, so I was like, I want to move to North Carolina. My parents are here. My wife and I wanted to come here, start a family, all this stuff. So I'm like, at a certain point, I had amassed my collection that I needed and done all the stuff I needed to flip the switch to go full time.
Yeah.
And I had to either do the plan or abandon the plan and sell the animals because it was like I couldn't do both. I was working full time and I had almost a full-time collection worth of animals. So I was working too much, moral of the story. So I had to basically make that decision on what am I going to do here? And I made the decision to move and breed.
Yeah.
Breed those animals. So.
It's been good. It's been good seeing kind of your progression since, we've connected like 2.5 years ago and, you were working on full-time stuff and kind of executing your plan. And so to see, even from my perspective, how you've developed into, I would say one of the top breeders in the country, right? In terms of a full-time breeder that has 1 million animals, like it's unending. It's amazing to see kind of how you've done certain things to, find success in this hobby, even in like a down year like this year, success, even in kind of a trending down year like last year, success, right? So for me, I'm like, wow, it's incredible to see kind of how you've done so well in the hobby. And so it's possible, but it is difficult to be successful in this hobby.
I wish I would have had the collection I have now like 4 years ago. It would have been, I would have been retired. Like I've been retired right now.
You would have had that butler money, man.
I know. I'd be buying the whole, I'd be buying all of Maui. I'd be moving in.
You would be buying Shelby's and STI. You would be buying a place in Bora Bora or wherever he's at.
Yeah, no, it's good. Good for him.
Oh my gosh, man.
Good. But the, I do think that, and it's it's been, and this, I don't want this to all be about me. We can
it's fine. I think it's a good conversation it's very relevant for people.
But I think that there, you know this too. It came with no lack of growing pains, hiccups.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Things to figure out.
Yeah.
Figuring out how to have people that work for me and not lose intimate touch with what's going on with the animals, still, doing all those things. It's that's the challenge now, is like, how do I do what I'm doing, but better, serve the customer better, provide the animals people want from me in more quantity and better ways, offer services to people that are helpful to them, all that stuff. So that's the challenge now. When
I see kind of your success and other success, and I'm like, I feel like I'm like on the brink of like a steady income, and with Palm and with the shows that we're doing, like I'm on the brink of it, but it's there, but it's not fully there yet, if that makes sense. And
you're getting like tastes here and there, but it's not like a every week thing.
So I do feel like a huge majority of the hobby and a lot of smaller breeders, and I would classify myself now as maybe like a mid-sized breeder at this point. It's I'm a larger than average breeder, but I still have kind of that feeling of smaller breeders where it's like, just you're close, but it's not quite, and you have a lot of difficulties in terms of like marketing or selling certain animals, or finding a good breeding group where you can constantly sell and move things. And I just feel like it's right there, but I need to push a little bit more, and so,
and you're at that pivot point too, and I even get to this point, not on every animal, but on projects, like on projects that are more in the infancy. And that's kind of where you're at with, not like your projects are all in infancy, but
right.
This will make sense as far as stages where you're tempted when you make animals.
Oh my goodness.
That are very valuable. You want to keep them.
Yes. Oh,
and
man.
then the stuff that you're selling is not the most valuable animals out of the projects. So then you feel the pinch of, and I feel the same way, where it's like, if I'm breeding a new project, it's like, I don't want to gut the project and sell the nicest offspring out of it. Yeah. But then you also feel bad because it's like, man, I'm not making that much money on these,
I am legit.
But you have that on multiple things. You know?
So, oh man, it's right there. Like I'll pull out some. I have a good amount of females. I'm not gonna lie. Like I have a good amount of females. Some of the high white stuff, and I pull it, and they're developing nicely. They're still developing nice as they grow. And I'm like, oh man, I'm doing Palm next week. Like I'm trying to sell 7 or 8 animals. I'm trying to hit my goal of $1,000, right? So I'm just doing small little goals for myself. $1,000 every week. If it goes past that, awesome. If not, that's okay. And like, what do I pull to hit that goal? And I'm kind of in that dilemma where I'm like, ooh, if I sold this one, I could sell this one for a good amount of money, But if I held it, and if I didn't sell anything for the rest of the year, and I grew a bunch of stuff out, I would be in such a better position for next year. And yet I'm right at the crossroads where I'm like, I don't know if I can, like just stop, like cold turkey stop, and then just wait like 3 months, which is probably what I should do.
Yeah.
Oh man. So
yeah, that's the hard.
man,
That's the hard part. I mean, that granted, like I've said to you before, it's like you're in a good position because you're not like hard pressed where like you have to sell the animals to like pay your bills.
Yeah.
You're not like hard up for like you have to do that because it gives you a little bit of flexibility.
Yeah, I mean, budget is much tighter if I'm not bringing in like a steady income.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not like super easy, but it's livable. Like it's doable.
Yes, it's doable. It's doable for you to probably go lighter. You don't have to go super hard and like gut your projects every month.
Yeah. So sometimes I'm like, oh, if I could get some like Axanthics or something.
Yeah, it'd be nice to hit the odds on this.
Oh my gosh. Like they'll
it'd be nice. It'd be nice if Pixel actually proved out. Oh wait.
Oh my gosh, man! What a waste! Sorry, I was like, what a waste of a project. Not a waste. It's not a waste. It's just a frustrating project for sure. I was literally at the crossroads of like, okay, AJ, are we doing this Pixel? And I had extra money. Is either more into the Pixel or I'm gonna buy like a nice breeder sable. I bought the Pixel. And
I go, don't buy that animal. And then you didn't tell me you bought it until like a couple weeks later.
AJ, like, can you please like just slap me? Just be like, bro, like don't.
I live too far away. I need to have like a robotic Diddy-bot arm, and then it's gotta slap you from a distance. Is
it gonna spray me with baby oil too? Oh man, but yeah, I don't have someone like right next to me to be like, dude, don't buy that. Just like spend this $5,000 or whatever you want on the sable, and of course we don't know how everything's gonna turn out. If the Pixel thing turned out and it proved out, like
then you would have been in a good position.
Yeah, it's a gamble. Like it's always a gamble, but man, that was a choice. I look back on it, I'm like, man, if I bought this sable for like $5,000, I would have been selling sables right now, right? And I'm not, and it's been frustrating. So we'll get to some of your questions, but I do want to. This is a good question, Jasmine.
Yeah.
And Jasmine, I have a bunch of questions loaded up from you from the DM, so I will get to those. Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But Jasmine asks, how did you and AJ become friends? And AJ, how did you become friends with Gabby? You want to talk about Gabby first?
Yeah, I'll talk about Gabby first.
Okay.
It was before I moved, so call it, say maybe when I moved in I think it was in August, early August, I believe, of 2021. And I believe it was, early August 2021. It was probably in maybe June-ish. I think I had maybe told Samantha Maddox, Crestopia. I had told her, hey, I'm moving to North Carolina. Kind of how far are you from there? Because I knew that she was in Virginia, and I was like, oh, I don't know a lot of people kind of down there. So I had reached out to Sam, and I was like, hey, I'm moving to North Carolina. She had reached out to Gabby and said, hey, AJ's moving to North Carolina. Maybe reach out to him. And I admittedly didn't know who Gabby was. I knew her name, but I didn't know back then. I mean, you know this, Harry. I was working a full-time job. I was like really like overloaded. Busier. I didn't tie Gabby to Morph Menagerie, right? Yeah. I had sold a bunch of geckos to this Gabby Bratcher person, but I didn't know that those Gabby was Morph Menagerie.
Right.
If that makes sense. So I think I had seen her page and stuff, but I didn't know that those two things, that person and the business were connected. So I get I think she might have like Facebook messaged me first, and then she called me. This was in like June, and she was, typical Gabby. She was like, "Oh my gosh, you're moving down here. We got to hang out. We got to be friends and hang out." And I'm like, and for a minute, I'm like, man, how do I know this person? And I realized, oh, she's bought a bunch of geckos for me. So my dumbness, I just don't, at that point I was like, I didn't know who she was really to a high extent. So fast forward like a month later, she's like, oh, we're coming up for the Schaumburg NARBC, which was like the first show post-COVID. Like it was like everyone still had to wear masks. It was like the first post-COVID reptile show that happened. 3 days before that show, I broke my wrist really bad. And I had called her and told her basically like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm like, I broke my wrist here. If you guys, I think I had asked, because I didn't know many people that were vending it. I'm like, could maybe your husband help me get my stuff out of the car or, So basically that, like, if you guys could help me at all, I'd really appreciate it. Moral of the story, Gabby went to the promoter at the show. Somehow, you know how NARBC shows go. They're like really hard to work with as far as like a vendorship standpoint, historically. And Gabby somehow got my table relocated directly next to hers, which is kind of like unheard of, like to get tables moved at.
Did she ask you, or she just did it?
No, she just did it. Like an hour before I got there, she's like, I already took care of it. Your table's next to mine. So if you need help, we'll help you clean your deli cup. So basically she was like super sweet and they helped me. And that was the first time I ever met them. And then fast forward, I think it was like maybe a week to a week and a half later, I moved to North Carolina.
Okay.
And she was there the day and helped me move my animals into my house too. Her and Brett. So they were just like they like took me very in friendly. very like, they didn't even know me and they kind of took me in. So, and I think a lot of people have had that experience with Gabby. So
yeah, she's very sweet. She's very welcoming. First time I met her. First time I met her was Tinley. The first time I met you was Tinley 2 years ago. Yeah. And then, in person. And she's very warm, welcoming. And then, we met her when I went out to North Carolina, I think the year after. And then, we were at, just basically, she's very friendly. It's almost like an old friend. Like, an immediate friendship that is just, she's very kind and very personable. So
then fast forward, I think we've ended pretty soon after that in August. In August, when I moved there, we vended Daytona. So I vended Daytona. I think Tristan, Gecko Junkie, like gave Gabby and I a table, and we had like one table together, like 2 weeks after I moved. So then we vended that show together. And then right after that, we started doing the auction together.
So that's
2021.
2021. Okay.
Yeah, it was like 2021. I think our first auction was in September and I moved in August. So it wasn't even 4 weeks before her and I started the auction together.
That's crazy. Yeah. So, I remember when you guys first started too.
Well, and she did one without me and then she invited me and I joined on after that. So
yeah. Nice.
Yeah. And then the rest is history.
So. The rest is history, yeah. And then Jasmine, how AJ and I became friends is, I saw AJ when I got into the hobby. I saw him on some of Gabby's Instagram live. It saves to your, when you do a live, you can save it to a post. And so she did some like Q&As with like her, Emily Burke, Christy, Canarium, and then some with AJ.
Was there one with Donna too, maybe?
Oh, with Donna. Yeah, Donna Crimson Cresties was on there. And so I saw AJ and, just this, it was very informative for me, like to learn, like, it's kind of like a lot of people that come up to us and be like, oh man, I watched a bunch of the Gecko Pods. Like it's super helpful. For me, it was that, right? It was Gabby had this Q&A with AJ and I rewatched a lot of those episodes, or not even episodes, but those clips,
those lives,
multiple times. Yeah, those lives, because I was learning and trying to figure out, what everything is. When you first come into a hobby, you don't know what's what, right? So you need to try to quickly get a map and the lay of the land, what's going on. And so for me, AJ and those guys, more so AJ, was that, because he's this OG breeder that seemed to know what he was doing. You know, I didn't really know AJ at that time. And eventually I reached out to AJ. I was going to do this podcast, right? I wanted to do it with AJ.
Well, you bought animals first.
I bought a bunch of animals from AJ. Like, it was
pretty soon
I
after
like
that.
I brought a good amount of animals from you, right, AJ?
I think the first round you bought like maybe like 4.
Yeah.
Like the first like group you bought was like 4. And I know I've told this story before, but my side of it is this guy I don't know reached out, and I've had, you get this too, I'm sure, Harry, where this person reaches out to you and kind of like promises they're gonna buy a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And you kind of don't believe it until the money is sent.
Yep.
You know, because it's like this happens all the time. And what percentage of people actually do what they say? Is it like 20%? I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I remember you kind of had kind of like this expensive order kind of teed up.
Yeah.
And a couple days went by, and I remember like we talked on the phone, and a couple days had gone by, and I don't think you had paid for them yet, but it was like, I remember it was right at Christmas time.
Yeah.
It was right at Christmas time. And I just thought to myself, I'm like, I need to be more, my brain is telling me to be negative and that this guy just ghosted me. I need to be positive. And if it's supposed to happen, it's going to happen. Whatever.
Yeah.
And then you pulled through and you bought the animals. And then I was like, okay, a little bit of faith in humanity was restored. And then did you reach out to me about the podcast, or you saw me on another podcast again, right?
Yeah.
Was that before that, or was that, what was the timeline of before. Gecko Galaxy?
So it was Gecko Galaxy. Gecko Galaxy, they weren't crested breeders, but they were reptile breeders in general. And they just, they had crested geckos, but they also had monitors and all these other, they had chameleons, panther chameleons. And those guys interviewed you, Gabby, Sundown, and a couple other people, Tiki's. And then I saw that podcast, and no hate on Gecko Galaxy, but I'm like, oh man, there's like, they can refine it and tune it in a way that's like, that could be a little bit more
geared towards this niche.
Yeah, geared towards cresteds, right? And so so they were kind of the thought process for me to be like, okay, I think we can do this. And I know even for us, I know people see our stuff and be like, oh yeah, you guys can do it better. I know that. Yeah, start your own podcast. It's totally okay. But I saw that and I was like, okay, I really got to know AJ just by buying his animals, talking to him, and he really knew his stuff. Obviously, he's an OG, so he knows his stuff. And this would be perfect to be like, this podcast is, I'm a new breeder. I'm just gonna ask you a bunch of questions, and then we can bring more people in and ask questions, and so everyone can learn collectively. And so we became friends, I think, as we did that more often, right? We did the first episode, and then I was like, oh, you want to stay on, or you don't have to, but we'd love to have you as a co-host.
You asked me that for 20 plus episodes.
Before we even named the Gecko Pod, I was still asking.
What episode did we name it? 10?
Yes, it was a Butler episode where we named the Gecko Pod, and it was after Tinley that we named it, right?
So you guys know, Harry, before every episode, he would say, "Are you sure you want to keep doing this? You're welcome to, like, you don't have to do this. Like, you don't have to co-host." And I'm like, "No, man, let's keep doing it." But you gave me the out for like
a long
almost
time.
like a year or something.
Yeah,
it was like a long time.
You can still leave if you want, by the way.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, because I don't want people to feel, I really don't like when I feel like locked into,
trapped.
Yeah, into doesn't not just a podcast, but in general a slimy type of thing where they got you, This is like salesy stuff, like, oh, I got you, like timeshares, like, oh, come to this thing, you'll have a free lunch. Oh, gotcha. Like, I hate people that do that. So at every point, I always try to be like, okay,
you give people exits like constantly.
I give you a ton of exits. Yeah, like leave anytime. No harm, no foul. Like totally leave. It's okay. I'll just find somebody else. But I'm so glad that you didn't leave, and I think our friendship just grew over time as the more we did these episodes, and we just began to sync up, and it was just good chemistry, and and now it's like, I'm happy to call you one of my my best friends in terms of not just the hobby, but in general, right? Just because we talk so much and we know each other's stuff and families, and so yeah, that's how we became friends. Just primarily through the podcast is what really solidified it.
Yeah.
Say, right. Yeah. So,
but we talk a lot outside of the podcast. I hope everyone knows that.
Yeah. We talk about things beyond geckos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good question, Jasmine. That's a good question.
Long answer.
Yeah, that was good. But yeah, thank you guys. You guys are awesome.
Little monsters, yay!
Little monsters.
Honorary, like after Brian Hu, they're like the most consistent guest of ours. So that's awesome.
We had LAC a couple of times, and then Little Monsters does the morph chats with us. That's just because Anthony doesn't give heart emojis. I do, but Anthony doesn't.
Gecko Cove is trying to get us to pick who we would have instead.
If you had to replace AJ, who would you want to bring on as new co-host? Same question. That would be hard to say right now. I think if AJ didn't come on with me earlier on, then it would just been a process of me interviewing people, not interviewing people, but having people on as a guest, and then kind of finding that right niche. Like I do think the co-host brings a different dynamic. Solo things is fine. Like I don't mind it, but the co-host thing, I think it's more fun as long as you find the right person. So sorry to answer your question is I don't know.
And I would say
no.
If Harry and I didn't have a podcast together, I probably wouldn't have a podcast.
Yeah, I think
that right. I just am not. I love doing it, but I don't know if I could do it like separate. I could, but I don't know if I'd want to.
Yeah, I'm at this point where like it's like we're bound.
Yeah.
The fates of the world have bound.
The fate of Pod is bound by us together.
Yeah. It's just fun. Yeah. It's just more fun this way,
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely are very fortunate to have synced up, and it's been a good thing for us. So yeah, but it's been good. It's been good, like interacting with everybody, and I think that has helped develop multiple friendships throughout our time here. So yeah.
It's helped us meet a bunch of cool people along the way too.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, made a lot of good friends, and
yeah.
We missed a lot of questions. Let's see. Oh, thanks, Patrick.
Yeah, it's so nice.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Good answer. Yeah. Thanks, Bobby, for the question. Definitely more LM episodes. Yeah, we're gonna have one soon. We will have one soon. Whole soft scale scatter. Oh, we might have to. I don't know when we're gonna do that one, AJ. Do we have any more information on that? Not really. Huh?
I don't know. I don't feel like there's been I don't think there's been new information put out. Not yet.
We don't know. We don't know what's going on there.
None of the sources want to work with each other, so.
Yeah.
Or they're not working. I don't know if they want to. They're not working together.
Yeah.
So I won't say that they don't want
to. So that one's a TBD indefinitely.
Yeah.
We don't know, basically. We don't know. Oh,
when there's an update, we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Well, one day, Alicia. Anthony's in the Canary. Is that how you say
Canary?
Canary Islands till Christmas, but in Madrid, right? But we'll figure something out. Yeah, we'll figure something out.
What the heck is he doing in Madrid?
He's probably doing his his show stuff. He works for
2 months.
Yeah, maybe it's a big project, secret project.
That's amazing.
Yeah, sounds like a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
All right. Let me. What kind of questions do we have? Let's see. Let me go back to some questions. Okay, let me go back.
Let's do those, and then if people ask more in the chat, then we'll get to those.
Yeah.
Let's do our submitted ones.
Okay, let me pull a couple up here. Laguna did ask, can you give us some axe pairing tips and project goals you are working on? Axe pairing tips, as in 100% hex versus visuals, like that? Is that what you're talking about, Patrick? I know you're there in the chats too. Oh, he's working on a
movie. Nice.
Yeah. What are some axe pairing tips? So I do know, AJ, that a lot of people buy, not a lot. Some people buy possible hets to try to prove that out, and for that, I think it is a much of a gamble, right? It's a bit of a gamble.
At that point, it's more of a gamble. Yeah,
it's a gamble, but sometimes it proves out. Like I just proved out my 66%, pos hets, 66%, just basically from 200% het.
And now they're 200s.
Yeah, and I bought that a year and a half ago, and I paired it this past season, and I made a bunch of non-regular stuff basically. And I was like, oh, they're not going to be Axanthics. And then just last month, I think I popped a visual out of that pairing. So I was like, oh, okay, they're proven, awesome. So in my mind, anytime I have pos heads, I'm just going to assume that they're not Axanthics, just because I don't want to be disappointed. So if they're pos heads, then I typically buy them for their visual traits. So if it's like a clean Harley,
so even if it's not a hat, you're not disappointed with the offspring.
Yep. So if it's like a really clean tiger, I'm just gonna buy it just for the sake of it being a tiger rather than a pos hat. So but that is the long road, Patrick, to make.
But I think he's asking for like, how do you get, like he says, good lats and dorsals, all these different things.
I'll leave that
what kind of hats to pair to make dark based ones. So he's saying visuals and getting dark based acts. So I think if you want to do that, you should be using hats that are dark based, not using hats that are yellow.
Yeah.
From what I've seen and so I have a couple of hats that are yellow, and I'm making kind of a mixture, but I'm making those light gray, like super light gray Axanthics. And Harry, you're making more of those like dark.
Yeah. I've been popping out dark stuff. Yeah, like some pretty dark stuff.
Yeah. So I think using hats and or visuals that are more of that dark base and not that like light gray yellow base is better. Yeah. If you want dark ones. A lot of people like that kind of like light gray too, though.
Yep. Yeah. You got to figure out what the base animal is of this visuals that are being paired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good lats for dorsals.
Try to get animals that have, it seems like white pattern is what converts onto Axanthics. Not like the orange pattern or the yellow pattern. It seems like white pattern is what converts.
Well, because there's a contrast, but also Axanthic pulls out red animals, right?
Well, and it pulls pattern. I mean, look at even the 100% hets.
Yeah.
100% hets are often reduced in coverage and pattern.
I agree with that. Yeah, the Axanthic lily white that I just popped was made from my 100% at Axe lily white, and the pattern, it's a Harley, but it's a dark base Harley, but its pattern is reduced. So that is why your frost line pairs well.
I'm confused by that.
Yeah, make that connection for us, Patrick. Austin says, I'm going to have a 100% het male, 3 pos het female. Yeah, awesome.
That's awesome.
That's good, Austin. It's a fun project. just don't expect you're gonna like make things immediately, but if it does, it's like a good surprise. He's talking about the high whites in terms of white pattern stuff.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it seems like when you see Axanthics that have more white on them, like high white Axanthics, you look at the hats, or you look at the visuals, they're not animals that are like black with yellow pattern. It seems to be that they're black with white pattern. And that white pattern actually carries into the visual axes better than if, say, the hats had a bunch of yellow pattern. So in theory, the way for me to make higher white Axanthics would be to take something like the frost line or something that is higher white pattern, make hets with it, and then breed those hets and make higher white visual Axanthics. Yeah.
Which takes,
in theory,
a long time.
Takes a long time. I mean, that's like a 4-year project right there.
Yeah. That Axe project is cool. It's a long project. It's just,
for sure.
It's one of those passion projects where you just have to be really patient with it. You'll hit a lot of frustrations too. So
yeah, but that's a cool thing. I mean, it takes a lot more time. Yeah. I mean, even the incomplete dominant stuff, like people would you know, some people know that like I've been trying to make yellow sables, like good yellow sables for a while.
You made a couple.
I've made a couple, and it's like that's an incomplete dominant trait, and like I'm struggling with that one.
Yeah.
Even with like multiple pairings for it. So
yeah. You're gonna end up with a lot of like, I mean, with yellows, you're gonna end up with a lot of dark stuff too, right? If you keep pairing.
I've made a bunch of dark sables out of the yellows. So
that's funny, which can be frustrating, right?
I mean, I'll still take it. They're really pretty.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Still nice.
Okay. Other question: the value of visually expressed traits. So phenotypes versus lineage. We've talked about this a little bit, so we can touch on it briefly. High expression dollar sibling versus low expression dollar sibling from Alex.
Visually expressed traits versus lineage. I mean, I'm of the camp, and I know not everybody agrees with me on this. If the animal, say like there's some trait that you're trying to get from, there's this pairing, and you know, you want, so I mean, for example, I'll just use like a high white. I'll just use a high white example.
Yeah.
Or like the black and white or the blonde Harlequin look. If you take in, say I produce tricolors, some, you know, percentage, even 50% out of my frost line come out tricolor, right?
Yeah.
Even though neither parent's a tricolor, still half come out tricolor. You take that animal, you take a tricolor offspring from that, and you breed it to another one, you know, that's similar to that, you won't make any black and whites, even though the parents both were.
That's crazy.
So it's not like just because the lineage is there on some of these traits, like white pattern or white spot or whatever, like from what I can see, like if they missed hitting the traits in that animal, it's not like there's some,
it's not going to come back
magic fairy dust that they magically reproduce it even though they don't show it.
So the tries
I haven't seen that.
The tries out of the black and whites
don't make black and whites.
Don't make black and whites.
No.
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, because I made a lot of tries out of black and whites, the high white stuff.
Yeah.
There's a good amount of tries. So I was like, I might as well start a try project since I have so many.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I'm doing, is I'm just using them for a different project. Yeah.
Yeah, I got some good tries though.
Nice. Yeah, that's
good. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. Nice. SRS, what about going back to Axanthics? What about Lily with Phantom Axe? Those have cool white patterns. I mean, if it's Phantom, the pattern is definitely lessened, right?
For sure.
Phantom, right?
Reduced pattern,
It's reduced pattern, so it's not as patterny. Blood Dragon, my 100% het pair only had 5 good eggs, and so far 2 have hatched, no visuals. Both were proven breeders. Oh yeah, that's frustrating. Yep. Yeah. Anything else on this thing that
I personally, I think people in the past have done that where they go, oh, let me get the cheapest offspring out of the nicest pair.
I legit paid for a lot of those animals back when I started.
I am not under that camp. I'm not a part of that camp.
I'm no longer under that camp because I experienced it and I've spent a good amount of money on failed expectations of that camp. Whereas before I was like, oh, a sibling of this. Oh, it's a such and such animal. Okay, I'll pick one here, pick one here, pick one here. $2,000 each. Didn't use any of them. They were all garbage.
So I will say like I bought some geckos. Like I bought a couple geckos from LAC. I bought one from Celestial recently. And those animals, I will like my buying decision on those where I'm like, they are not what I'm trying to make. Mm-hmm. That gecko is not like the perfect example of what I'm trying to make, but they have the traits in play, even though they're lower expression of those traits, they have the traits.
Okay. Like a hypo or whatever it is.
Yeah. Like, oh, it's white pattern. It's not a tricolor. It's like white pattern, black base, a lot of tiger. Okay. That's what I want. I want that. I want to make nicer ones of those, but these are ones that I can buy and I can breed these to my animals that are higher expression of that.
Yes. Yeah.
And bring their strengths, the weaknesses of the animals that I'm buying. They have the base, what I need, to then bring the strengths of the powerhouse animal with it and make the things I want.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm not expecting to be able to take like my black and white male, breed it to a random tricolor and make black and whites. You know, I don't expect that to happen.
Yeah. 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 I mean, once in a while you get like one-offs where if you breed your nice male to some random thing, you'll make maybe occasionally a rare one-off. But in general, no.
I mean, it's not it's the exception, not the rule.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to Axe, just so I'm hitting on these questions since it's a little fresh. Adam asks, is it true that Axe times Het Axe offspring are stronger, healthier than Axe times Axe cross?
I don't know about healthier, but I know from reports from multiple people in Korea that the majority, and even when I talked with Brian Butler, the majority of Axanthics are produced
with hets.
With hets, or at least with one of the parents being a het.
Yeah.
And not two visuals.
Not visual to visual. Yeah. I
majority of the successful breeders are not breeding visual to visual.
I think I asked
het to
Brian
visual
Butler
or het to het.
Yeah, I asked Butler about that before too, because I was a season or two ago. I was like, maybe I'll just get two visuals. You know, have a female and then have a male. If I get male, I'll just make all 100% visuals, right? And I asked him like, are most of your stuff visuals to visuals or hets? He says it's usually a het and a visual, as opposed to visual to visual. But although he has done visual to visual.
And then he had also said that part of that was
the selling aspect.
Yeah, like selling visuals. He was selling more female visuals.
Yes.
From a financial aspect.
Yes.
So he was using female hets and selling the visuals to cash flow.
Yes. Yeah.
And that makes sense. Like
a
lot of times when you have new genes, like you sell females instead of males to protect your market, and you sell visuals and keep hets so that you can be bringing in the sales dollars, but still making the animals that you need to make to sell.
Yeah. And I do think that having and making 100% hets, like you're basically all of your offspring are 100% het anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So you're not only are you selling visuals for a high dollar amount, you're selling 100% hets, which are also, I mean, market's a little bit lower on them now, but they're still valuable animals, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way to do it, I guess, is to do a visual to hets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me miss some questions. Simon S. So keeping the oddballs, talking about oddballs and the one-off. So keeping the oddballs from a clutch will not be productive in furthering the project it came from. It could be a different project.
Not necessarily. I mean, there is some like the first like the nicest frost line animal that I made, like the first one that like kind of like pivoted it more black and white, or that was the goal. That animal was a one-off animal, but I chased the lightning in a bottle for years before I started to figure it out again. So Simon, I don't think it's like a waste of time, but I don't think it's something that is super fast to recapture when you have that like one-off, because for you to figure out what happened, where say you make 20 offspring over 2 seasons with this one pairing, and then you have one that just hits this magic, and trying to isolate what happened in that animal so that you can recreate it, that sometimes is hard to do. It's not impossible, but it can be hard to do.
Yeah, it just takes a long time to kind of figure that part out and see what unlocked it and how to recreate it.
Yeah, sometimes it may take 2 or 3 trial and error breedings to figure that out.
Yeah. How do you explain dominance expression? And I'll jump back to the IG ones after this one. How do you explain dominance expression ratio of genes to newer breeders that don't know much about genetics? Read foundation genetics.
That's hard. It's hard if you don't know much about genetics. I mean, I personally would just say literally go to YouTube and just get a basic understanding of like Punnett square genetics.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Just look up and understand the terms of dominance, incomplete dominance, recessive, all these different things. You should just get the basics. Harry and I are not genetics experts.
No.
We don't claim to be. I don't have a science background. I don't claim to be a scientist in any way, shape, or form.
Remember, if you put PhD in your tagline, it counts. So.
Yeah. Yeah. If you take one online course that's free, you yourself could be a genetics expert. So I don't pretend to be one.
Yeah, we're not. We're not doing that.
I'm not.
We try to garner the collective wisdom of the community. LM and Jess
and we do our own research on understanding these things, but some of it is outside of my realm of qualification. I try my hardest. I probably know more than the average gecko breeder, but I am far from an expert. So
yeah. This one's a quick one. I'll just do this one and I'll go back to Instagram. How much does it cost to get into some nice lily whites in today's market?
$300-400 for nice ones. You can
get some nice ones for like $800. Some decent ones for like $500.
I feel like you can get nice ones for, well, it depends.
Yeah, I do
like four. Like four.
I agree. At this point, like we're
really nice ones
for like
maybe
400-500.
6 to 8 for like crazy nice ones. Yeah. For little ones.
Yeah, back then we spent thousands. So.
But people would still spend, like, I still feel like a high expression lily white that's big is still worth, I would say,
$2K,
$1,500, $2K.
If
you think about how you're going to breed it and how many animals you're going to use it with, and it makes sense to spend the money on the highest expression ones that you
If I saw a lily, like an insane lily, I would still throw down $2K for one of those. Like if I saw like an amazing male breeder, super high expression, beautiful structure, I would still be down to throw down,
especially if you didn't already have that.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
I know I had said to you guys, even when I feel like even today, like if you think about the economics of it, lily white, like say you buy right now in the current lily market, even though people are like, oh, lilies, there's so many of them. If you told me right now you don't have a lily and a lily male is $5,000, it still makes financial sense to buy it. If you think about like how many offspring you make across your pairings, what the current price of it is, it still is like a bargain.
Yeah.
So that's what people don't understand is like, what investment can you make? Say you spent $5,000 and you bred it to a handful of really nice females and you make it back in 2 years. What investment can you clear your money in 2 years on? Nothing.
Even stocks don't do that.
You're looking at looking to make 10% a year back or whatever.
Only if you're like some insane market
inside trader
where you're like where the crypto is going insane or something. Other than that, it's very rare.
You buy like Dogecoin or something.
Dogecoin. Crypto Cresties. I don't know. Remind me of Crypto Cresties.
Crypto Cresties, yeah.
Crypto Cresties Ash. Okay, I'll come back to your questions that are in the chats in a second. Let me throw some IG ones. Rafa and Jazzy, how to pair geckos for optimal results? How AJ got his frost line going? How do you pair geckos for optimal
Why don't you say that one? Why don't you give your opinion on optimal results?
I do think from experience, like the animal, how do I start this? The animal should be cooled at a proper time. So if it's proven, if it's virgin, it needs to have the right temps, right? So I feel like temps are important. I feel like light cycles are important. And you have to for me, I try to cycle and follow. So I'm jumbled, right? Because because there's a lot of factors that go on for optimal results, right? But they have to be at an optimal age, an optimal weight, that will help produce and hopefully have better probabilities of them locking together, of them cycling eggs, of them being fertile. So it depends on if they're virgins. It depends if they're proven. If they're proven females, like those things, you can just pair them like as soon as they're done cooling, 2-3 months, and then they'll start cycling again. So I've had that experience, right? I've also had trouble. I also had both success and trouble with virgin breeders, where some virgin breeders, you pair them in 1 month time, they're already cycling fertiles. Some others will just take 5 months, take longer. So optimal results, I still think I'm still trying to figure out what that is exactly, but I do think the temps and the light cycles do have a play in terms of when to pair them for optimization.
Yeah, I don't think there's like a one size fits all, but I do think that there's things that are important. Putting them in a light cycle that is summertime light cycle. So I basically So I don't have like, I know some people will do like a ramping, like I do 8 hours, then I do 9 hours, then I do 10 hours, then I do 11 hours, and they like ramp it.
Yeah.
I've tried that and I've seen no difference between, so in the winter, I have an 8-hour light cycle. And in the summer, I have a 12-hour light cycle. I have 2 light cycles, 8 or 12. So right now my gecko room's on 8. But I have a new space that I'm going to try this year for the first time doing 2 completely separate. So I'm going to have a cooling room. So like half the breeders are in there and half the breeders are in a space. I'm going to breed a bunch of virgin animals in a space that like in like 2-3 weeks, I'm going to have a space that is 78, 79 degrees, 12 hours a day lighting
year round,
and all of the internal light blocked off.
Yeah. Are you doing it year round? You're going to just keep that?
No, but I will not summer, but maybe like fall, cycle those off. I'll reverse that.
I see.
So I'll cool them like months earlier. Then I'll cool them with air conditioning months earlier than I cool the other things naturally. I'm going to see if I can do it. I've done it before in a small scale. I'm going to see if I can do it in a medium scale.
Yeah. So, I know Robbie and I know, Andrew Pino, White Tank, like they've been experimenting with just year-round cycles of light and heat. What are your thoughts on that in terms of, and then what they say is like they're, the breeders will just naturally cool themselves after they lay
X amount of eggs.
Yeah. After they like 5-6 clutches, then they'll cool for another 2-3 months and then they'll cycle again, even within those temps. Like what are your
I have seen most will, not all.
Okay.
And the ones that don't, then you're kind of screwed for the next year.
So it's possible that they'll just not
stop,
not lay. Yeah. Okay.
They'll not stop cycling. And that's, maybe that's only 15 or 20%, but it's enough where
20% is a lot.
It's enough where like, man, I don't really, and it might work for you for 2 seasons, but like I had a couple animals that because of like the way the room was set up in the previous iteration, like when it was in my house, I had a couple females that laid like 2.5 to 3 seasons without stopping, like no stop.
Yeah.
And they crashed and like I had to like save their lives essentially, even though I was, after a certain amount of time, I'm like trying to stop them. And they just like would not stop. And so when you get in that situation, it sucks. And so this is what I was trying to say. You might be able to get away with like year 1, you don't cool them and they stop laying a little bit, but then they go into year 2. And then by the end of year 2, they're like kind of depleted. And then maybe by year 3, then they crash,
I see.
So a lot of times they're not going to crash on year 2. They're going to crash on year 2.5 or 3.
Yeah. So some females will know to cool themselves, but you're saying a handful, 15 to 20%, which is quite a bit of.
That's been my experience.
Okay. They'll just keep cycling to their death.
Yeah, essentially.
Oh no. Okay. I see.
And in my experience, the thing that slows egg production is not temps, it's lighting.
Interesting. I would think it's the temps, but
it doesn't seem to be the temps.
Huh.
Because I haven't moved the temps of my breeder room and nothing's laying, and the only thing I've changed is lighting. So it's either lighting or it is they just know biologically I've laid X amount of eggs, and that's what a season is. You know, a season is 6 clutches for me, and that's when I stop. It's either that or it's light or it's some unknown barometric pressure, moon phases, something that we don't know.
Okay. What's your guys' cooling temps at usually? So I guess saying the temp is more. The light is more important for cycling and cooling, but
my cooling temp is not that cold. It's like 72, 70 at night.
Yeah. Yeah, mine dips to 74, 75. That's my cooling temp. It's just not that cool, right? But usually my room is around 78 to 80.
Yeah, and then my breeding temp is more like 78.
Yeah, that's getting me to think of like, you know, because I was gonna try just like cycling them year round and seeing, you know, how that does, but that does cause me to like, okay, let me think about how I want to.
Well, it sucks when you crash out like a female that you really like.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks when any animal has an issue, but like especially hurts if it's like, oh my gosh, I just missed an entire season on this female that I like really count on.
Yeah, that is tough.
So
like I have one right here that has just been cycling forever for a long time.
Yeah.
This one right. Yeah, so it's something to keep an eye on for sure. Okay. Opinions on the WG marbling. I'll pull it up on our screen too. What are your thoughts on this, AJ, with this new morph that we're seeing, the Wagyu morph?
Is that what it stands for?
Somebody's calling it Wagyu.
A5 Wagyu marbling morph. I don't know, man. I think that there's not enough information on it yet.
Let me pull it up so people know what
I feel similarly about it as I feel about Pixel, where it's not the most exciting thing to me.
Yeah, makes sense. Hold on, share. There it goes. Whoops. The heck? All right. Let's look at some Wagyu geckos.
That's the A5. This is the A4. That's how they gotta rate them.
Yeah, interesting. What do you think has? I mean, is it almost like SPT on steroids? I don't know what's going on.
I don't think it's like SPT. No.
Huh?
Here, go back. Go to the one that's like down. I can't see. Go to that one where the one's leaning on the other one.
Oh,
that one.
Is it just like a really white spotty?
Oh, it seems like it's like breaking up pattern in some kind of like a. It's almost like Pixel in ways, but it's distributing pattern.
They're like giant pixels
in like splotches of color and pattern instead of allowing it to be more like uniform or you know what I mean, where it's like I feel like Pixel does more of like it's eating holes in pattern, where this seems to be more where
just breaking up, spraying it out,
breaking up pattern. But I don't know, it still just doesn't do it for me, man. I don't know. I'm not saying I would never work with them, but these animals in front of me are not exciting to me personally.
Not yet. They just start. this person just started this account 3 days ago.
LM says there's more photos on Zuli21.
What is it?
Zuli21.
Let me look at the comments. Zuli21. All right. Gecko Zoo. Zuli21. There? Did I miss it? Is it 11? Oh gosh, I don't want to click. I don't want to click on some random crap.
LM, send it to Harry.
Hey, no, Zuli21 here.
2ZZ. What the heck is that?
2ZZ. Oh, 2Zs.
Oh, ZZ. Okay,
there you go.
There you go.
She's with Gecko. I don't know. Okay. Oh, here you go. Yeah, it looks like a slice of steak, a Wagyu, for sure.
I don't know. Does that do much for you, Harry?
Not yet. I think sometimes it takes me a little while to get used to something. Like Pixel initially didn't capture me, but then I saw, the more you look at something, the more you begin to appreciate certain things. But right now, it's like this stuff. I don't know if I want like a meat gecko. Just like it's like
I don't know.
Oh, it's Donnie
boy. He's dressed like a pirate there.
He has a beard like a pirate. Our boy Don. Oh,
Pirate Don. Ceremonial dog photo. Here we go.
Barley, the Wid gecko mascot, sniffing each custard. Oh, this is it's not a whippet. It's a Italian Greyhound.
Oh, it's cute.
Yeah, because Zero was a whippet, and
cute.
So this is an Italian Greyhound. Pretty cute. All right, sorry. Back to geckos. Back to geckos.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for new things. Like, I want there to be new traits. It's just at a certain point.
What do you think made these?
It could just be a mutation. It doesn't have to be that anything made it. It could just popped out of nowhere.
Yeah, makes sense.
It could be no combination of anything. It could just be its own thing. Same with like the first lily whites came out of two normals. Yeah,
that's cool.
So
cool. Yeah, we're just
TBD. I mean, TBD. I don't think it's like a huge mystery that I'm not like a super lover of Pixel.
Yeah.
So some of the similarities of that to this, I'm kind of like, I don't know yet. Not opposed to seeing what happens, but I wouldn't go drop 20 grand and buy one of these.
Donnie. Oh, sorry. Okay. Cool. Yeah. No, we're not TBD. We're still trying to figure out. Still learning. Cool to see, though. I mean, it is cool to see new things hatch or pop.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's all we can say, I guess, for now. Huh?
Yep. All right. What else we got, Harry? We got more questions? Okay. Let's get off the marbled meat.
Marbled. Oh, man. We're 90 minutes in already.
I gotta be asleep soon.
Yeah. You fading, AJ? We'll go soon.
I'm tired, but
seller's remorse. Like, have you regretted? This is a good question. Like, have you regretted selling a gecko, and if so, have you ever bought it back?
Yes and yes, but not often. I feel like I'm pretty good at not being disappointed or not selling stuff that I'm gonna regret. But I'm normally pretty, like, on my holdbacks, I hold them almost to adulthood. So, like, you'll see me sell adults, and a lot of times those are animals out of my holdback rack that then just didn't quite do it for me, and I sell them.
Yeah.
Like, but a lot of times I'll let them ride like all the way until almost ready to breed before I make that decision.
I think that's smart. So. I have sold things that I shouldn't have sold because they were smaller. And if you're at a show, it's a slow show, but someone wants to buy something for a little cheaper, you're like, all right, sure, because you just want to make a sale. I think that's like such a terrible position to be in. Like, it's just, and you just feel kind of crappy about it. And honestly, I don't know how everything has developed, because I don't see a ton of stuff.
Harry, you know the hack for not having that happen?
Just don't go to shows.
Don't bring those geckos to shows.
Oh yeah.
When we were at, I forget what show it was. Was it like Anaheim or Pomona? I remember you had like some geckos on like the back row, and you like didn't have prices on them or something. And I'm like, don't even bring them if you don't want to sell them.
I know. That's funny. It's one of those things where you don't want to be a table full of just like $100 geckos. You want to have some nice stuff that you may or may not want to sell, and then eventually, if it's there, you're like, all right, I'll sell it, because you're getting skunked.
I guess like, also if you got to the point where you were bringing it to the show, you probably were okay with selling it too.
Yeah.
Deep down,
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I've never bought anything back, but I've definitely regretted letting some stuff go that I didn't get to see fully establish. So I mean, I'm kind of there right now too with kind of Palm Street, and I'm dipping into kind of some smaller things and things that are still growing out, which I know will develop nicely. But people who are newer breeders, they don't know that, so they're gonna just want these animals for like $100, $200, when really, if you grew this thing out, it could probably be like an $800 animal. And I'm tempted. It is a temptation of mine to be like, all right, $200, it'll pay for the crickets this month, or something like that. It's tempting. Yeah. Good question though. Why you shouldn't, and I will add why you shouldn't or should breed wholesale. Let's talk about this. Touch on this briefly.
I mean, that's like a nuanced question. Why you shouldn't breed wholesale quality animals, or why you shouldn't breed. So that's okay. So that's, you have to decide what kind of a breeder you want to be. If you want to be the kind of breeder that breeds $20 geckos that you sell at shows, and you make little baby kits, and you sell little bags of Pangea, and your whole thing is, I want to sell pet geckos at shows
$30
for $20, and like that's the business model I want to have. I want to do 1 million shows, then go for it.
Yeah.
Or maybe you don't even do the work to do that. Just go buy them from AC and sell them at shows for pets, because it'd be less work, But as far as breeding wholesale animals to try to pass off as high-end animals, I mean, I would say don't do that. But I mean, I've bought some animals that were like, for example, there's been a couple times where people like offered me collections, and the price that I paid was like, I bought 100 geckos from somebody, but I paid $50 an animal, and like I got some really nice animals out of that once I grew them out.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But that was the exception, not the rule.
Yeah,
sometimes that stuff happens, but I would say, if you expect to be able to buy $50 geckos, $30 geckos, $20 geckos, breed those geckos together, and then sell them for hundreds, it's probably not going to happen. It's just not. It's not going to be. It's not going to be. You kind of get what you pay for in some respects, and then also the pedigree of that animal matters. I mean, people do to a point. Like if you go to resell offspring, if you have nothing to offer the person as far as like what the family tree of the thing is, at least like general, it doesn't have to be like, oh, I know 7 generations of parents and grandparents and great grandparents. That's a little bit
excessive.
I don't know if that's actually helpful past a certain point. But if it's just everything dead ends to like, I got this one from Mac, I got this one from Pangea, I got this one from AC. If every pairing of yours dead ends like with nothing, I don't think that's probably going to lead to a very strong standpoint and longevity in the hobby.
Yeah. I mean, there are definitely show people. Like if you I go to a lot of local shows, and just a lot of it is just like wholesale pet quality, and a lot of people find joy in doing that. So they'll just breed a lot of wholesale stuff, and they'll sell wholesale stuff for $75, $50 to, a lot of pet type people, which again, like AJ said, if that's your business model, that's fine. But if you're trying to dip into like the higher end stuff, like I wouldn't start there. Like don't start your collection with wholesale. If you want to start to um sell like $2,000-$3,000 animals, it is I do feel though, AJ, that the high end projects, the market is tougher to kind of
for
weather,
sure. My goal is not to make only expensive animals.
Right.
You and I both are passionate about making nice animals that people can afford.
Yes. Yeah.
Like making the nicest animal that we can that is within range for as many people as we can.
Right. Above average in terms of pricing so that they know that it is a nice animal.
But also above average quality for that pricing.
Yes. Yes.
So I want the geckos I sell for people to feel like the value for what they paid for is higher than what they paid.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also
that's my goal.
I do appreciate, like breeder, high quality breeders, because sure, you might have some low and mid tier stuff that you can sell at shows and whatnot for people, with a lower budget. Totally okay, right? That's still nice animals, but still being able to offer some of the top end stuff, to those that are seeking top quality breeders, like some of the stuff like your frost line or it's things that are a little bit more rare, having kind of the gamut of quality to offer.
And Harry, you can attest to this. I can attest to this. I'm not afraid to say this.
Yeah.
You take the nicest two animals. You could go spend $4,000 an animal, buy two animals, breed them together. You might make two. Say you make 10 offspring. You might make two that match the parents.
Yeah.
Or one that exceeds the parents, one or two that matches the parents. Then you're going to make like one or two that are like 75% is nice. And then you're going to make a decent chunk that are not that nice. Mm-hmm. Like the 50% that is left are going to be $200, $250 or under, you know?
But
and that is like the reality of a lot of these pairings.
But why I still pursue high-end breeders is because you will still get some of those top end, and in that
you won't make those out of crap.
Yeah, correct. You can't make those off of your wholesale pack.
No.
If you buy the AC wholesale pack, $10 a gecko, $20, you're not gonna make high-end animals. Like it'll be an exception.
Maybe match the parents.
Yeah. I mean, if you pop something amazing, that it's definitely not normal.
Yeah.
But in general, the probability of making nice stuff off of wholesale stuff is not very high. So to have high quality breeders, yes, you're going to make some lower quality, some mid quality, like AJ was saying, but you will make, eventually a handful of really nice animals.
Yeah. And but in order to make the 3 or 4 nice ones, you have to
have high-end animals.
You have to make 3 or 4 medium ones and 3 or 4 not so nice ones.
Yeah. So you do have to bite the bullet a little bit if you want to dip into kind of the higher end stuff, for sure.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what's going to separate us. I mean, just from in terms of high quality stuff, do we have the same quality as some of other breeders that have have wholesale stock? Sure. But I do think that what's going to separate some of the higher end breeders is that smaller percentage of really nice things that we have to offer, right?
Yeah.
And I think if you want to be a high quality breeder, dip into higher quality stock from high quality breeders. Try to veer away from wholesale animals if you can. But again, depends on your business model. You can totally do the wholesale thing, and that's okay too. Just know what to expect is all.
And I guess just also, I'm not opposed. I'll say that I don't think he'd be mad for me saying this. Like I look at a model like Gecko Junkie, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
His model, he doesn't keep lineage.
Mm-hmm.
He breeds a lot of animals. I think Tristan does produce some nice animals.
Yeah, he does. Yes,
I bought a handful of geckos from Tristan that I'm very happy with. But I think that his goal is like value for the dollar. Like he sells a lot of geckos that are say $200 and under.
Mm-hmm.
But that's his business model, and he's built his whole business off of like touring, doing shows,
Yeah.
doing these lives that are kind of more geared towards newer people in the hobby. And there's nothing wrong with being the value proposition.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it depends on the type of business you want to build. I don't think Tristan's trying to market himself as being like, I make the best geckos in the world. He makes some nice geckos, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
But he also makes a lot of pet geckos too. And I think that's a goal of his. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong in saying that, but
no, I think that's true. I mean, like, if you look at,
he's just a case study of like somebody that maybe has a business model like that.
Right. Yep. And I think a decent amount of people are on that track, because it is an easier way to enter the hobby. Like if you buy like a pack of 10 or 20, and then you can start selling almost immediately. Right. So it's not saying one way is wrong or right. It's just know who you're buying from, what you're buying, and where you want to go. Right. If you want to be,
and what you want to be known for too.
Yeah. Or do you want to be, the other route where you're more pet quality, but more quantity, And so if you're going to be both, you get a ton of quantity, ton of quality, then you got to be like AJ, 20 years in the hobby.
I mean, that's kind of my goal. I mean, I want to be like, I want to be able to be like the place where you can get like high quality, but for like an affordable level.
Right.
That's my goal.
I do seek out breeders that have, and the price thing isn't necessarily indicative of the quality, but if you have a trusted breeder that's a high quality one, like I do seek out those people that are really niche high-end breeders that are making like amazing stuff. For example, Frostline, right? And I'm willing to throw down to buy really nice things like that. So because those high-end breeders are more rare than you think. Most people will be kind of,
once you try making them yourself, you realize how uncommon they are.
Yes, absolutely.
Like when you make hundreds and you don't get one, and then you realize, oh, it's not like, like I can't just churn out like when people see like a really, really nice, like a highest example version of like a Frostline animal, and like they see that, they're like, why am I charging $3,500 or whatever, price tag I put on it? I'm like, I made 10 of these.
It's crazy.
Like max, like,
and
like the ones that are really nice, they're hard to make.
Yeah. So my high white project, I spent a good amount of money on, and I probably made this year, maybe like 300. I've hatched 300 so far, and I still have some eggs cooking, and they're so hard to make, AJ. Like
they're really
like
hard, dude.
There's maybe like, I have maybe like 6 that I think are very promising, but it's very hard to make what you're seeking after, depending on the project, obviously.
Some are easier than others.
Yeah, some are easier than others.
High white is especially hard.
High white is a very hard project. Oh my gosh! But I'm so deep already. I can't stop.
That's very in line with the way you do things, though. You got to pick the hardest thing.
Yeah. It'll be rewarding once I achieve and accomplish, a stable of what you
and then right after that, you have to do like Dalmatians or something. You have to do tigers.
To make,
tigers. Dalmatians, or you gotta do tricolors.
I do have tigers and Dals. That's a smaller project, but those are satisfying too, because like, oh, okay, I hit some good stuff already.
Seems like Dark Phantom. It seems like Dark Phantom's hard too.
Dark Phantom is hard to get the dark coloration that people seek after. I'm like, you guys have to understand, like, you guys are asking for Dark Phantoms that are kind of elusive. Like, what you're asking for is not as easy as you think it is.
I want a jet black gecko with no pattern. I'm like, okay, that's gonna be like $2,000.
Yeah.
You're like, wait, I want it for $200. You can't buy one for $200,
Is that the Palm, or the people on Palm will ask for that?
Is that the Palm chat that I'm impersonating? No, that's just
no.
I mean, everybody wants a deal for the thing that's the most expensive thing.
Yeah, of course.
Which I don't blame them. I want that too. I just don't say it.
Oh my gosh. Yep. Quick question here.
Yeah.
Simon asked, what is the average weight age you can start trying to sex a gecko? That's a quick one we can answer.
So I will preface this with, it matters how you raise your animals. So depending on how fast you grow your animals, it seems like pores or pore sexing is more linked to age than it is to size.
Okay. Yeah.
So like if you grow your geckos crazy slow, like if you don't feed any bugs, you can loop them at like 2.8 grams and see pores on them. Because the thing's 6 months old and 2.8 grams, it's loaded with pores if it's a male because the thing's so old, even though it's small. But then you have people that can grow a gecko in 3 months to 12 grams, 15 grams, and that thing could pop pores at like 15 grams. Like not have it at 14 and pop them at 15.
Yeah.
So that does matter as far as I would talk to the breeder, and be like, at what age do yours pop pores? Mine pop pores probably around
2 months.
Yeah. So for me, that's maybe like 4.5 grams. Like if they reach 5 grams and don't have pores, I don't really have them pop them later. 98% of the time. There's always those outliers.
For me, I wait a little bit longer. Like I feel more comfortable if I'm in the 8 gram range. Okay. I'd be like, okay, this is no pores. I feel pretty confident it'll stay no pores. Yeah. But I just want to make extra sure just because I don't want people to be disappointed, you know?
For
so
sure.
I'm always like, all right, it's young, it's small,
no pores
right now, but no promises. Because I wish people told me that. Like,
no pores does not mean
no pores does not mean female. Yeah. No pores.
It just means at this moment.
Yeah,
it's not showing it's a male.
Yeah.
No pores means at this moment it's not a male.
Yes. Yeah. So
that we can see.
People got to understand. Because I fell for that. I fell for that hard when I first started. So
that's some salesy BS.
Oh, I wish sellers back then would explain these things to me. Okay. A few quick. What is it? The quick shot rounds of questions. Your thoughts on pied geckos from Aether Exotics?
They have not been proven to exist yet.
We see hints of it, but we don't know.
We haven't seen any of them reproduce consistently to prove there is a trait.
Yeah. Mealworms viable for gargs? Ask Mike.
I've never tried. Maybe.
I don't think I've tried either. Have I tried roaches?
Maybe out of a bowl, Mike. But you would just have to
go,
try.
Mike. Give it a go and tell us. Palm treat effect on market, if any. That's a good question.
Doing a good job of bringing a lot of new people into the market.
Yeah.
So that is a positive. A lot of new breeders entering the market through Palm. I think it is giving. I think there is times where it's hurting the market slightly, but also there is the positives of it is showing what things are actually selling for. So where before, say there was, there wasn't a lot of people that were doing online auctions. It was a relatively small number of people, and the rest of people, yeah. And then there was some other ones, occasional ones, but like now what you're able to see is kind of real time. Like before it was like, oh, well, I see a frap on Morph Market for $1,000, but not everybody knows that, oh, if I was at this show, I could have bought one for $650. Where now there's some level of transparency where like if you watch enough lives, you see like, okay, it seems like the going rate for a Phantom Axanthic is $675 or $700 for a little one. And like that's been like pretty consistent. I've seen that 3 or 4 times and they sold for that price. So kind of like what to expect. So I think that's been a positive where instead of just seeing like, well, there's a sable on here for $5,000 and there's a sable on here for $1,000. And like, what's the difference? And like, what does one sell for? And it's like, you could see in real time, like what things are actually selling for. Yeah. And then, kind of what to expect as far as what you can sell them for and what you can expect for what the market will bear.
Yeah.
So,
you know what? Like it's just a quick rabbit trail. What's annoying is people like crapping on Palm for the prices, and then now they're on Palm selling like that.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing when people
that blows my mind.
All the people that complain about Palm, and then now they're all like, "Hey guys, come to our Palm on Friday night. We're gonna have all these giveaways and deals. It's like, wait, I thought you didn't like Palm last week and it was terrible for the market, and now you're on there.
Could it be that they just don't like us? Like, because we
I don't know. I think that people don't like. Maybe they just don't like when they're not able to use something.
Yeah.
And then once they can use it, then they bandwagon and
now it's
bandwagon
amazing, right?
fans. I don't know.
Now it's all awesome for them too, and now they're all huge Palm Street evangelists as well. So that's the pet peeve of mine. Like
inconsistency.
Just be consistent, guys.
Hypocrisy.
Yeah, if you hate Palm, don't do Palm. Like it's very simple.
If you hate on Palm, just don't even have the app on your phone.
Don't unfollow. Just unfollow us. If you hate Palm, no, that's just a little bit of salt coming out. But
but I will say this: I think that the benefit of it is that on any given night, you have the ability to shop for animals in real time. You have the ability to build community in the chats. Like Harry and I both love being able to talk to y'all in the chats, and
it's fun. I like it.
And be able to kind of get into some of the details of animals more than you can, say, if I just posted something to Morph Market, just posted a photo.
Right.
You guys can ask me, oh, is this one related to that? Oh, is this, is it fire up a little bit more like this or a little bit more like that? I have something like this. Would it be a good match for that? We can actually have that conversation. And so there's strengths to Palm for sure. I do think there's dangers to it when people use it just as a way to dump their stuff that they they're not in it for the dumps. Long run. They just want to do the quick dump.
Yeah.
That's the scary part.
Yeah. We've seen that a little bit. Someone will be on there for one show and then just never be back on.
Or they're going to it's a quick burn where it's I'm going to do 4 shows. I'm going to sell all these animals and then I'll disappear. And they don't have a regard for the market as a whole.
Yeah.
Which I can't expect people to not be selfish. It's people are going to do that. So
I do appreciate Palm in general. I do think it's inserted a little bit of excitement towards Gecko people. I do appreciate and when people post hey, we're on Palm now, we're approved as sellers, join us here. I love that. I love that people get excited that they can start to possibly move animals and you have a different crowd going. And Palm has brought, like you said earlier, Palm has brought a good amount of new gecko buyers to the hobby, right? When we first started, AJ, it was just a handful of us, and we got a lot of new plant people that became, eventually now
plant people, crystal people, jewelry people, whatever, all these different things.
Yeah. So shout out to Palm, whatever they're doing. What you can talk. There's pros and cons to Palm, yes, but I think in general, it's been positive. It's been positive because it's made things exciting for people, and now that people can go and apply to be a seller and actually become a seller, I think it's a good thing overall for the hobby. And
honestly, this might be a little thing. I feel more, and this might not be true forever. I feel more appreciated and supported selling on Palm by Palm than I've ever felt from the shows that I've been a part of.
Okay.
Other than Gabby's show, the majority of shows treat you like absolute garbage.
Yeah.
And I feel like Palm actually has done a pretty good job of listening to us sellers and requests that we have for features or changes or how we'd like things to be different, and they actually implement those changes pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And so I have to give them credit for that.
Yeah.
They actually seem to be invested in things working out.
Yeah. Their customer service is pretty good. they're very responsive. So yeah, I agree. Eureka says found palm via geckos and now have so many damn plants.
That's fine.
That is true. Like I forgot who we were talking to, but somebody like either a gecko person now is a plant person, and a plant person is now a gecko person, and it's like a mix and match. And the app itself is actually really addictive in terms of like
watching
buying things, because it's so easy. Your credit card's on there, like you have a little bit of credit, and okay, here we go. Just press a button. So it is
highlight this Gecko Cove comment.
I don't think palm is for smaller breeders. It seems to work for people with larger collections. I could be wrong, but it feels like you need a surplus of geckos to make it worth it. It's fun to watch. There's some truth to that.
I don't think palm is sustainable for people with small collections to do weekly shows and sell.
Yeah.
Or, I think in order to build like a large audience on palm, it appears you need a pretty decent sized collection.
Right. But you can still be on there as a secondary market, and you can still sell stuff. I mean, if you have a following on IG, just direct people to there. Yeah. And then be like,
we've also seen people with small collections do basically like, okay, I'm going to pop on and do one palm every 3 months.
Yep.
I'm going to jump on one time.
Yep.
I can't do weekly, but I'm going to jump on one time every 3 months and try to do like a full show.
Yeah.
3 times a year. It seems like there's going to be people that can do that.
Yeah. So I don't agree with the statement in itself. I don't think palm is for small breeders. I mean, it's just another way to sell. Like morph market, like is that much different? Like you're putting animals up, but palm, like you're putting animals up, but now people can see you for that one sale that you're gonna do. Like say you have 5 to 10 animals on a week, and you are once every quarter, whatever, and then you just show up and be like, hey guys, here are my animals. Like, so I do think that it is for small breeders, but yeah, like AG said, sustainability wise,
approach it differently as a small breeder.
It's just different strategies. Bobby. Yeah. So different
strategies. It'd be like the same thing with like if you're going to do morph market, you're going to do a website. Like if you were going to do a show, or if you were going to do morph market, like maybe your approach is not doing trickling out 2 a week or 3 a week. Maybe twice a year you do 2 big drops, and then it makes it feel a little bit more substantial than doing 2 or 3 a week. So maybe the approach is different.
Yep. It's just different tactics, different strategies. Like for me, I don't have nearly as many animals as AJ or these other guys, and so I just slow trickle it. I slow trickle my animals, and I try to do it that way. So yeah. How much of a cut does palm take on each sale? You can see on the website. I think it's like 5.9% plus the credit card fee, which is
you're looking at probably like 8 to 10%.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. So yeah, it's not. If you're willing to stomach that, then then
8 to 10%, and then you also are going to pay taxes on that.
Yeah, well, they take
I'm saying you're going to pay income tax.
Yeah, you pay income tax. Yeah, because you have to report it.
But I know a lot of people, like smaller gecko breeders, will be like, "Hey, can you Zelle me this Venmo? PayPal, friends and family," and they they try to operate under like the reportable limits. It's like you're not going to get away with that.
Yeah, you got to report on palm. So yeah.
So if you like to avoid taxes and fees, it's probably not for you.
If you want to operate legally, it's not for you. I like seeing the faces. Yeah, Robin. Robin's on with Andrew, and it's cool to see the different personalities of each account. So okay. Let me see what else we have. We have a good amount of questions actually. Let me see. Well, this one we won't answer, but AJ and I were thinking of not so much, not just morph pairings, but also how to pair different things, right, AJ? Like in terms of its traits, in terms of different morphs, and we'll probably do that next week.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna do an episode that's kind of like a reference episode for. We get a lot of questions of like, what should I pair together? or how do I go about understanding like what should be paired? Like I've got 40 animals here. What should I pair together? We're going to do kind of a reference episode that maybe people can go back to as a source of like the thought process of kind of where we would go with if I had this animal and then these 4 animals to breed it to, which one would I do?
Yeah.
And which one would I not do and for what reason?
Yep. So stay tuned. That'll be next week. Yeah, we'll get that done. Richard Market. Yeah, we talked about that. How many breeding seasons max for female before a season off is needed? We've talked about this a little bit too, AJ. Just keep them rolling.
I don't give them seasons off as long as you're taking good care of them and giving them time off. Yeah. They don't get a season off in the wild. So a lot of times when they get seasons off, they get obese and then they don't breed well after that. So.
Yeah. There's a lot more here that we don't have to completely touch on, but let me just read this one. A to Z incubation process. We'll talk about that maybe in the future. Breeder selecting, starting a new project versus developing a program, which is the preferred gender selection for beginning a breeder program. Yeah, this is like from scratch, basically.
We've definitely answered not all of this, but like a decent amount of this before.
Yeah, you have to watch 79 episodes of the Gecko Pod, and you'll be up to speed.
When people ask me questions on Palm recently, I was just like, episode 62 of the Gecko Pod, watch it. Hey, could you tell me how to ID a cat? Watch the Gecko Pod.
Watch LM, ask LM. We'll just go message Anthony and Jess.
They'd love to talk to you.
But we could talk about this maybe some episode in the future.
Maybe bookmark that one.
Yeah, that's a good. I mean, that'd be a good episode, like a brand new episode for this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about this in the future. Stay tuned, Wanky. Wanky said that. John Squares, firing up geckos. How biochemically does it happen and why?
Put it back up, Harry. I can't see it.
Oh, sorry. Also, I'd like to know more about temps. Let's scratch the temps for now, and John, we'll get to that in the future.
Firing up geckos. I don't know what is happening chemically. I know that LM would say that it's either a stress response or it's a response where it has something to do with, I don't know, chromatophores, who knows? LM can tell you.
Basically,
they get more vibrant. They get more vibrant and dark.
Message Anthony and
when
Jess.
You get them wet or you put them in a dark box.
Yeah. Message Anthony and Jess.
There you go.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm not a scientist. I don't pretend to be one.
Oh man. Okay, AJ, I'll let you go soon. Let me see if there's any final ones. Jasmine, I know you asked a lot of questions, Jasmine. And I'm going to we'll answer those on the next one if that's okay. But thank you for answering.
Is there one more you want to pick?
Yeah, let me see.
Give her one more.
Jasmine. Sorry if we didn't get to your question. Good conversations. Did we talk? We kind of talked about this one, but other than that, they're in her DMs. Do you think in-person reptile shows are slower now due to all these online buying? We talked about that a little bit, huh?
Yes.
Palm Tree more. Okay.
I think yes. But I think that it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know if that's a bad thing. I think that times change. It's like asking, like, after Amazon existed, did people stop going to Borders and Barnes and Nobles less when they were an online bookstore? Yes. Yeah. But now that we look at it, it's like, do bookstores still exist? Yes. Is Amazon a helpful thing? Also, yes. So I think that both can exist. I think reptile shows might just have to evolve or there might be less of them.
Yeah, you're saying they're gonna be like the bookstores? They're gonna disappear?
Well, no, but it might have to be a little bit, there might be less of them and they might have to be a little bit more strategic.
Yeah.
I don't think, like, at least I can speak for like where I live. No one needs a reptile. Like where I live, I could go to a reptile show every weekend within 3 hours of my house.
Yeah.
I could like there is a show within 3 hours of my house probably every weekend of the year. I don't think that's needed.
Yeah, I agree.
I think there could be a third as many, a quarter as many, but they should be better, less frequent, and then online should grow. That's my opinion.
Agreed. Let me ask. Jasmine asked a lot of questions, and I think they're a really good question. Let me just throw one more out for her, and then Jasmine will. I feel like some of the stuff she's asking could be its own episode because it's a lot
Jasmine's question episode.
Oh, we should give Jasmine a shout out. Okay, but she does ask, and we could close out with this. When starting out with the hobby, is it best to keep to yourself and post, or reach out to as many breeders as possible with questions, concerns, etc.? And then, when as a new crested breeder hobbyist, when if ever is it a good time to start asking for collabs, requesting friendship, support from other breeders without being off-putting? I think those are really good questions, by the way.
Can you highlight that, or is that not?
It's in my DMs.
Okay. No problem. Okay, so just start with the first part.
Okay, let's when starting out with the hobby, and I'll just write it. Is it best to keep to yourself and post, or reach out to as many breeders as possible with questions and concerns? You can answer, AJ, and then I'll answer. I'll say what I do.
I think it's probably both. I don't know. I feel like when you're in the very early learning stages, I don't know how important it is to post. I might be the wrong person to ask though, because I'm really inconsistent on social media, but it also has not impeded me growing my business either. So, but I will say, I mean, I see a lot of people that post every day that their accounts don't grow. I see a lot of people that post every day that don't get any engagement. So I don't think like posting every day is as important as probably making sure you're learning, making sure you're buying the right animals, doing your research, dialing in your care, and probably making good connections. I would say that is way more important than posting. Actually thinking about it.
I do think making connections is probably the top thing.
That's probably the top one.
I do think it's difficult to make connections because you're not going to get along with everybody. Like so when I started, yes, when I started, I reached out to a lot of people actually. Like I would message everybody, and chat with them and try to be friendly and just to feel out what's what, who's whom, and who to be friends with. And I realized some people are not people I want to, connect with.
Invest relationship with.
Yeah, I do think there's value in reaching out to people. And if people are off-putting, like breeders that you looked up to that are popular and they're off-putting or don't give you the time of day, then I would say don't pursue that relationship. They don't want to get to know you. Eventually you'll find some people that will chat with you and talk with you and help you. And for those people, support them. I mean, that's what I did with AJ, right? AJ was helpful for me at that time, and I just bought a lot of his animals. One, because I thought he had good animals, but two, because I liked him as a person, and I thought he was like a good, genuine dude, and so that's what I did. So I do think that the connections piece is more important than just posting in itself. So just try to find a handful of people that you can talk to and you get along with, and you're not going to get along with everybody. So not everybody likes AJ, not everybody likes me, not everybody likes Brian or Butler or Gabby or so-and-so, right?
Everybody has their flavor, not everybody
has their flavor.
And you don't have to be everyone's flavor. Some people don't like us.
Some people hate AJ.
More people hate me than hate Harry. Harry just gets guilty by association. So
some people don't like me at all.
But also I would say like don't just go to the people you think are the most popular.
Correct. Yes, absolutely.
Like, because I do think that there is a danger in like what people would say is like clout chasing or just like trying to cozy up with like whoever is the biggest or supposedly the most successful, that might not actually be a good person to be investing into as far as trying to learn from. I would find somebody that you seem to like vibe with the way they do things. You might have shared values, shared interests in the type of animals you want to produce. You see the way that they treat their customers, you respect it. You see the way they run their business, you respect it. I wouldn't just go based on follower count or just based on
absolutely
influence level by any means.
I
because that is a small piece of the puzzle, you know.
Agree. It's just about again, and the only way you find that out is just by messaging people and by talking with them. Right. Going up to shows and chatting with them, and
you'll find your people.
You'll find your people. If you don't, just keep looking. Eventually or you might hate everybody, and that's okay.
And then you can just stay to yourself. No.
And then you can just do your own solo post. Okay. Okay, last one, and we'll call it. There's a lot of questions. It's good that there's a lot of good questions.
Bookmark some for the next one.
I'll save some stuff for next time too. And this is tied to what Jasmine just asked. As a new crested hobbyist, when is it a good time to start asking for collabs or requesting friendships, support from other breeders without being off-putting? So very related to what we just talked about, right?
Harry and I have a different opinion on collabs, or you and I might have a different opinion of the rest of the people in the hobby.
Yeah, that is true.
We're not big fans of collabs.
Yeah. People have asked me that in DMs before, this question, and I tell them straight up that I myself am very wary of collabs. People that you think you know will eventually, you're not sure, like they turn out maybe not to be somebody that's as trustworthy, and I think it's difficult. A collab. So for collabs, this is what I told the last person. Somebody asked me this last week. I said, unless I'm okay and ready to send my animal to this person's house and somehow the animal dies or somehow something bad happens, like I have to be able to trust that person so much so that even if something bad happens, I'm okay with it. Right. If I get nothing out of this collab, I need to be okay with it. And
if you send it and you get no offspring, if you send it and the animal dies, if you send it and like, you have to not.
You have to be mentally okay with trusting that person. And if that person screws you, that sucks. But I think that's the level that you need to get on. You need to trust this person so much so that this person will likely not screw you. The probability of trust needs to be pretty high for me to send a collab in.
And how many people, I know a lot of people in this hobby, and how many people am I on that level with? I can probably say out of like everyone I know in this hobby, I probably feel that way about maybe like 4 people.
Yeah.
It's hard. Like, it's like you're super, super tight, like circle where you have no doubt of the person's character that you're working with.
Yeah. And that is very hard to build. Like, it just takes so much time to build that.
And it's almost easier just to do it on your own.
Yeah. So on the flip side, though, a lot of people in the hobby do collabs and they find success with it. So we're not against it in general, but for ourselves, it's a personal preference that I probably would never do a collab outside of AJ and maybe like a couple people.
Yeah, but like LAC Herps just said, we've done some in the past. I've done some with LAC Herps in the past. So for years, the only people I would collab with was Crystal and Kyle and Andrew and Sarah.
Yeah.
And so if you look back and like all the family trees of geckos in the past, you'll see like Gecko Days, LAC Herps, and AJ. Like you'll see them like all, woven together.
Yeah.
But we never, and Andrew and I have talked about it. It's like, we don't have to think about, we can do things together, and there's never an issue.
No question.
Like no question. We've done this a million times. When it comes time to split or whatever we do, it's like, there's never any hard feelings. It's like always chill.
Yeah.
I've done some with Gabby, we've done stuff together. So it's just like,
Yep. So you have to trust on a pretty big level. So our TLDR for us is like, just be careful. Be very careful of your collabs. Yeah. A lot of people get screwed. So
Yep, for sure. More often than not.
Yeah. We should.
We need a more positive note to end on than that.
Oh, okay. What's something happy? But some pictures of kittens.
Is there a question that we can answer that's not look out, everyone will try to screw you?
Yeah. That's my vlog vibes right there.
Yeah.
What's a good one?
Yeah, we need more of those 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Ramble vlogs, Harry.
I know. Those are fun.
I like to listen to those.
I don't know. Do we have a lot of them are just like general questions?
Do we want to talk about anything else before we pop off?
Yeah. Something happy and short.
Do you want to talk about our IG thing, or is that going to be?
Yeah. No, let's do that. Yeah, I forgot about that. Let me pull that up. Go ahead, AJ. You can intro.
So, Harry and I, speaking of collabs, so Gecko Pod obviously is kind of like, the way I view it is maybe more of the, how do you say it? Kind of more of like the education arm of kind of what we do, Harry.
Yes.
Education, community free, collab.
Don't pay for anything.
So we don't charge anything for the Gecko Pod, right? It's like kind of our contribution to the community. So if you want to support us in some way, we are also making a thing that is free, which is kind of a joint Instagram account that Harry and I are going to run together. That's going to be a little bit of a behind the scenes of some of our sales activities. So maybe some like sneak peeks on stuff we're going to sell on Palm, maybe some stuff kind of surrounding shows that we're going to vend together, stuff that hatches throughout the week that we want to highlight for you guys to see. So this is basically kind of like the Harry and I peek behind the curtain. You can buy animals from us if you want to support what we do.
So basically it's like a little bit of a spin-off off of the Gecko Pod. We have the Gecko Pod, and then we have like, okay, here's what AJ's doing on Palm. Here's what Harry's doing on Palm. Here's a drop that AJ's going to do. And so we're going to direct people towards that Instagram account if you guys want to follow us. So I'll put it up here. I just put this picture up. This picture up of us. Yeah. It's the Gecko Collective. And it's kind of in line with the Gecko Pod education. And the Gecko Collective is kind of more side stuff that, AJ and I will be working on.
Some of our collab offspring that we produce.
Yeah. So initially, we mentioned before we were talking about possible courses and stuff like that. And we eventually didn't do it. It's on hold right now. And we don't know if we're going to do it.
We filmed some of it.
We're not sure if we're going to do it, but the Gecko Collective is the umbrella of our ideas of things we're working on, things we're doing. So if you guys want to follow that, I think we're going to do like some giveaways for that, right, AJ? For following and whatever. So
yep. So basically, like the non-podcast part of our partnership together from the podcast. Yeah. But we won't spam you guys from the podcast page.
Right.
We won't spam you on here either. But this would be the place where we would do more promotion than we would use the podcast for.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So
if you want to follow along, feel free.
Feel free to follow. We'll put up pictures of hatchlings and do little side collective side things that we're working on. So
yeah.
Cool. Sure. Yeah. So there's that, and this one's like some of a bit of a fun. If you guys were geckos, what morphs traits would you be?
I'd probably be a dark phantom, very emo, very sad.
I'll be a high white, so we'll be black and white.
Yeah, we'll be the black and white cookie.
We'll be Axanthics, black and white.
Yeah, we'll both be lily white Axanthics. We've got a light side and a dark side.
Oh, Patrick says we have 17 followers now. Oh,
we got to post tomorrow.
Oh yeah, we'll post one.
Now that we have
we got 21 followers.
Let's go.
Instant 21 followers. There you go.
There we go.
Awesome. Yeah. So thank you guys. Anything else besides before we close out, AJ?
I'm just excited for the future. I'm excited for the animals. that are hatching, are growing out. I'm excited for Palm. I'm excited for shows. I'm excited for what's coming on the podcast. So
yeah,
I'm feeling really good about kind of what's to come currently.
Yep. So while things, might sometimes will go up and down in the hobby, I think it's important for us to still stay positive. And I think AJ and I are both we're always looking forward to the future in terms of like, what can we do better? Like, how can the market be better? How can the hobby be better? How can we help in little ways? So, yep, I think there's still a lot of stuff to look forward to. And yeah, appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out for almost 2.5 hours, chilling. We know there's palms going on. Follow AJ and I on Palm Street, at Zero's Geckos for me, and at AJD Reptiles, just like our IGs, right, AJ?
Yep. Harry's normally live on Mondays. I'm normally live on Tuesdays. And then we might start doing some kind of midweek
chat
daytime.
Showing animals. If you want to buy some animals, you can.
Daytime.
Gecko
But maybe
Pod
like a
spin-offs.
daytime live. Yeah.
Yeah, daytime. Yeah, like a Wednesday.
A Gecko Collective type.
Gecko Collective,
live.
Yeah. So, yep. Thank you guys. Appreciate you all.
We'll be
stay
back.
tuned for next week. AJ and I will chat about pairings and whatnot, and giving some tips and advice there. So, thank you guys. We love you all. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.